Today we're having something fresh. Grandma would have said, we're making a fresh soup. And we're taking it up a notch. We're making it low carb and completely vegetarian. Welcome to Carla Cooks. We've got plenty of fresh vegetables ready to go. White cabbage, cauliflower. Here we have the celery. A bit of leek is also ready to go. Carrot. For some heat, we're adding a little chili pepper and also some onions. Good olive oil. And I'm just treating myself. We're also throwing in some frozen peas. And 1.5 liters of vegetable broth. We're starting with the sturdy vegetables because they need to be sautéed first. Celery, carrot, and the cabbage with the onions. And I'm already adding my oil in now. And we're just letting the onions warm up here over medium heat. Not too much heat in here because we still need to chop some vegetables. And we'll do that while the pot is heating up. Next, the celery. And we can cut the celery however we like. I'm going to slice it up now. From the slices, I'm making sticks. So don't cut it too finely but evenly so that the vegetables cook evenly. And I'm cutting the carrots in a similar way, just into slices. And they have the same cooking point as the celery. So I can put them in a container for my mise en place, for what we're preparing for the soup. That little bit of heat is enough. To sauté our onions a bit, because I want to use this time to keep chopping my vegetables. So the onions are translucent. Now we're going to add carrots and the pieces of celery on top. And as I always say, add a little salt right away. Because the salt helps you to sauté the vegetables more or less in their own juice because the salt draws out water. And we're going to leave that here on the same low heat because we still have quite a bit to chop. And so celery, carrot, and also our white cabbage have a little head start. So we're going to cut the white cabbage in half. With the other half, we're going to make a delicious salad out of it. By the way, we already have a video on how to make a white cabbage salad. It's being displayed here right now. I'm going to quarter the other half of the small cabbage and cut out the core. And once we've removed the core, start by cutting strips from the cabbage. Please don't cut too coarsely because we still want to make a soup. And if the strips get too long, then I halve that quarter again and keep cutting down. Because these strips shouldn't be much longer than a spoon so it doesn't hang out of your mouth later. That's why you shouldn't cut them too long. So it's simmering here. Our vegetables have already gained a bit of shine here. We can also add the white cabbage now. And it also needs to be sautéed a bit. Because one thing is important. When we fill it up with the vegetable broth, we'll only reach temperatures below 100 degrees with the broth. And when we sauté our vegetables here, we're definitely above 100 degrees. And this way we achieve completely different flavor levels than if we were just boiling. So always sauté the coarse vegetables. We have time for the cauliflower and leeks. And with the cauliflower, we won't take the whole head, but just cut out a few florets. And also here, it's very, very important. You could just cook it like this right away, but we want to be able to get the cauliflower on the spoon later. That's why my recommendation is to break the florets apart enough so that you have spoon-sized pieces. And what's left here at the stem, we can cut into small slices. Then it will cook evenly and we'll use everything we want. I always leave the white part of the leek as it is, and I always cut the top part in half again because now I can clean it nicely under the faucet, since I don't want that dirt in my food. So I just cut the leek into half rings. And that goes into my soup as late as possible because it really has the shortest cooking time. So we've prepared everything, we just need to chop the parsley. I've also turned up the temperature on my stove. You can hear that quite clearly. Our hot vegetables are now shiny. The cabbage has also become a bit soft. That's how I wanted it. Now I'm adding my 2 shiitake mushrooms and also my little chili pepper. They should stay in whole. First and foremost, they should season my broth. At the last moment, we're adding the cauliflower now. We'll also sauté that for just a moment. These florets cook so quickly that we need to be a bit careful not to let them completely crumble. So just sauté for about half a minute. So we can add our peas now because after all they're frozen and can handle a bit of heat. And now we're filling it up with our vegetable broth. That was 1 liter, and you can see that's barely enough. That's why I'm adding another ½ liter. So now all the vegetables practically sitting in the broth. We're going to let that come to a boil. You let the broth cook until the vegetables are as crunchy as you want them to be. Some prefer it a bit softer, while others like it a bit crunchier. You just need to taste a little piece and then you stop the cooking. So we remove the stems from the washed parsley and chop it roughly. We'll add those to our soup at the last moment. And these parsley stems that I've just trimmed, I'm going to freeze them for my next vegetable broth. And just roughly chop the parsley. Our vegetable stew has actually been cooking for 4 minutes now. Now we're adding our leeks at the last moment, letting it come to a boil again. And I always like to season my vegetable soup a bit with nutmeg. Also adds a bit of spiciness to it. And then we can go ahead and plate it up. And we have a super healthy vegetable soup. I think you can already see that a really hearty vegetable stew has been created. And so it can also be made without potatoes and without pasta. Just some low-carb, freshly chopped parsley on top. And we say enjoy your meal. Simply great.